How's it going, everybody? I'm Drifty from Driftwood Gaming, and welcome back to Learning RPG Developer Bakin. This is a quick fix to interior lighting. This is a combination of a bunch of little things that's going to make for a much better starting point for your interiors. By default, everything is blurry, even if you choose a certain rendering pattern, and the camera's too zoomed in. If you're drawing interiors, it's like you have to decide, do I put up walls or do I not put up walls? This one will let you put up walls and still have a nice looking base to start with without shadows casting all over the place. So let me show you a few things that you can do when you create a new map to have a better starting point, at least in my opinion, to make an interior map. First of all, let me just show you the starting point here. So we've got our interior map. This is the starting point for the interior map. And we do have lighting that's taking place. This is just an overhead. Once you start detailing everything, you can put specific lighting sources like from lamps and torches and whatnot, but you'll have an ambient light that you can reduce over time as you add more internal direct lighting sources. This is going to be much better. The camera is zoomed out. It's not blurry from like it is default. The depth of field has been turned off in this one. You can turn it back on and reduce the blur. There's several ways you can go about improving the default interior, but this is a nice little starting point, and I'll show you in only a couple minutes how to do this. So first of all, once you've created your new map, you're going to want to click over on map settings, and you're going to pick a preset. In this case, I've selected indoor night. I've created a new one simply by turning off the depth of field. When you click on this point right here or change any of these, it's going to create your own version of this preset, and you can rename it to whatever you want. If you like the depth of field on the interiors, you can keep it on, but I would recommend turning the blurring radius down to something really small like 0.1 or even all the way down to 0.01. That way your character and everything that you're mostly going to be focused on isn't completely destroyed by a blur. The next thing that we're going to do once you've saved that is go to the camera tool, and we're going to add a new camera. Click on add. I've named it interior, but you can call it whatever you want. All we're going to do is zoom the camera out. So by default, you can see we're zoomed in really close here. And by rotating the camera, the walls quickly become in your way and you can't see much of the house. Now, depending on your game, you may want to be more zoomed in. In my personal opinion, I think letting the player zoom out a little bit more on the interiors wouldn't really hurt. In fact, it will let them navigate through your maps a little bit easier. All I've done is simply added a new camera and zoomed out a little bit. And I'm going to hit apply and OK. Very simple. In order for it to use that new camera, we have to make an event. We'll click over on events. We'll click on custom event, and we're going to place a custom event somewhere, anywhere on the wall or out of the way. Once we've created that event, we're going to give it an automatically start only once, because all we're going to do is select a camera playback. So click on the plus sign, go over to cameras, select camera playback, and it's going to ask you what camera do you want to use. We're going to simply select that interior one that we've already created. So we're left with just this. There's no reason to wait for complete because it's one frame, so it doesn't really matter. Make it so that we use that interior camera right from the get-go. The next thing that we're really going to want to do on the map settings is under the lighting section, change the intensity of the built-in light to something very low. I've changed this example to 0.1. That is going to reduce the huge shadow that's cast from some imaginary object in the sky. And we're going to create our own imaginary object in the sky in order to create a better lighting. This is just to get you started. Once you start adding torches, you're going to create lots of these things. But first of all, this is how you do it. You just click on this little lighting section right here, and you click down somewhere. And that's going to create a new light source. So there are two types of light source. There is a point light and there is a spotlight. If you have something like a torch, it's probably going to be more of a radius that emits light. But if you have something like a flashlight, then it'll probably be a point. For this example, I'm using a point light. I've placed this one up above and in the center of the interior. And in order to edit the specifics and the properties of this, simply click on placed list, and you'll see a bunch of properties here. If it doesn't show them, it's possible that they got squished down here, drag them up like that. You can change the name of it. You can change the position with numbers, but you can also just move it with these three colored arrows. And it's probably easier to do that. You can change the angle, but the angle really doesn't matter because it's a sphere, unless you're using the spotlight. You can change it here. If you want to have like a chandelier or something, you can change it to a spotlight or go back to a point light. Starting off just for a generalized lighting so that the player can see what's going on, you'll do a point light, but as you add more stuff, you turn them into several different point lights or several different smaller and lower intensity spotlights, and however you want to do it. You can change the color of things. If you have a torch, you might want to make it more of a orangish color. If it's some kind of magical source, you can make it a purple light. It's really, really cool the number of things you can do by adding multiple lights. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're keeping it a natural white light. I've set the intensity to 5 because we're using a 20 by 20 and there's only one of these. I've set the radius to 32 because I've placed it quite a bit up above the map. And you can play around with these settings and change the numbers until it looks and feels exactly like you want it to feel and look. Here's a template that you can use to change it however you like to maybe make for a better starting point for your interiors. Hopefully you liked this tutorial. If you do, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.